The German government says Russia wiretapped a conversation between German Air Force generals about the war in Ukraine. The officers are heard discussing Ukrainian forces using German-made Taurus cruise missiles to attack the bridge linking Crimea to Russia. Now, Germany has so far refused to supply Kiev with the long-range weapons. The Defense Ministry in Berlin has also now confirmed that the conversation, which surfaced on social media, was tapped.
Let's focus on an extraordinary story out of Germany. The Chancellor Olaf Scholz is promising a full investigation after a recording of confidential talks on the Ukraine war was circulated on Russian social media. Huge embarrassment for Berlin. In the leaked recording, German officers are heard discussing potential strikes on Crimea. The video conference was reportedly held on the WebEx platform and not on a secure army network. The conversation also included details of the missiles provided to Kyiv by France and Britain. Russia's state-run RT channel posted the audio recording last week. Here's some of that conversation as voiced by a BBC producer.
Let me start with what could be the most critical thing that might happen given the current discussions. If the Chancellor does provide us with the Taurus missiles, one aspect is the timing of this. We would say, that's great, but it will take another 8 months until you can use it. Secondly, there's no way of speeding up the process because of the danger of mishaps and the missile going down on a nursery causing civilian victims.
Well, as you would expect, it's being fully exploited by the Kremlin, who say it is further evidence of...
Bro, that is an insane way to cover the story. Am I crazy? I feel like it's a much larger story. One, they immediately validate the claims by not saying this is misinformation. I don't understand why they didn't just say, oh, this is misinformation. They were like, no, this is real, and it's a massive fuck up on our part, and we have to investigate the leak. But I also don't understand why the BBC would look at it from the framework of a leak and not the contents of the leak itself. And the leak apparently, I mean, it's just, what is it? Like, how did they intercept this communication?
Direct Western involvement in their war in Ukraine.
This suggests that within Germany's armed forces, plans for striking the territory of the Russian Federation are being discussed substantively and specifically.
The German defence minister said the leak was a classic disinformation attack by Moscow, but they've not denied the contents of the recording.
No one seriously believes that it was a coincidence that at the end of a week, just before the weekend, the day after the funeral service for
Dude, I'm begging you, just lie. Just lie. It's so much better to just be like, yeah, it was fake. They faked it. What the f? That's crazy. That's actually crazy. They're like, yeah, no, it's real. But hey, guys, you know what's actually interesting about this? Not the fact that we're talking about striking Crimea and like how many civilians may die as a consequence of that, as a foreign nation that is not supposed to be directly involved in this conflict. But the fact that it got out, I mean, that really says a lot about society. Let's not think about the contents of the message. Just lie, dumbass. What do you mean? They want Russia to know, that's why they aren't saying it's fake? What are you talking about? This only reaffirms Russia's position. This is phenomenal propaganda for Russia. What the fuck are you talking about? They get to show that these guys are literally trying to kill Russian civilians living in Crimea, or directly talking about blowing up areas where civilians live in Crimea. And it's not the Ukrainian government having this conversation. It's the German army.
Alexei Navalny, after new revelations about the Wirecard scandal. This recording is now being published by chance.
Richard Dannett is the former head of the British Army. Lord Dannett, good of you to join us this evening. Could I ask you how damaging this is to operations? Embarrassing, certainly, but how damaging?
Well, it, of course, would be far better if this hadn't come out at all. What it shows is German officers talking.
Okay, our former military admiral people are better than the British ones. Oh, my God. I can't take a dude this pink seriously.
On an unsecured line about the possibility of Germany providing missiles to Ukraine, the same sort of missiles that actually Britain has supplied to Ukraine. I mean, that is not a big issue in itself. We all know that we responsible Western countries are supporting Ukraine to enable them to throw out the Russians from their aggression in the territory of Ukraine. I think the piece about this that's disappointing is the suggestion in other parts of the conversation that inappropriate help is being given to Ukraine by people on the ground in Ukraine.
Last week, President Macron said he wouldn't rule out the idea of deploying troops to Ukraine, which some in the Elysee read as strategic ambiguity. But Olaf Scholz was pretty quick to contradict Emmanuel Macron, and now this. It all looks...
How pink he is and how his glasses are put on crooked lead me to believe that he's like hammered, I think. He's knackered, mate. He's having a wee bit of a fucking... He's boshed. He's tank. A swally. He's a punter. Fucking hell.
It's very disjointed, a bit chaotic at the moment.
No, I'd agree with that. I mean, the fact of the matter is it's absolutely essential that Western countries, including the United Kingdom, Germany, France, and particularly the United States, essentially the United States, support Ukraine to the absolute maximum, because the sovereignty of Ukrainian territory was violated back in February 2 years ago. And it's really important that we do everything we can to assist Ukraine to throw the Russian aggressors out. But this must be seen as us supporting Ukraine, fighting their war to regain their sovereign territory. And what we absolutely must not do is allow Vladimir Putin to be able to say this is NATO fighting Mother Russia, because
okay, but that's like literally what this leak shows. Like it's perfect for propaganda purposes, which is why it's much better, in my opinion, to just lie and be like, yeah, that's fake. They faked it.
Frankly, that's not the case at all. We're supporting Ukraine as a friendly country that we want to help, but is not the same in any shape or form as saying this is NATO attacking or even NATO defending Ukrainian soil. Ukraine is not a member of NATO, and this is not a NATO versus Mother Russia conflict in any shape or form.
Just a quick final thought on the
My man said Mother Russia.
missile they were discussing, which is, it's been well documented that they're pondering whether to send the Taurus missile, which is a longer range missile than has been sent thus far. Does it politically show that he is split from his...
You can see why our country is such a mess with gout-filled cretins like this man in our ruling class. I mean, we have it in the same way as well, so.
his command at the moment, given that the generals are talking...
He has a medical condition that explains his appearance. Don't make fun. Yeah, I know. It's called being British. It's called being a Tory. I know.
About it and discussing what its capability would be and what it could be used for, and yet the government seems quite adamant at this moment that they're not going to send it.
Well, this, of course, is characteristic of the whole debate.
Side effects of being a Tory also include defending pedophilia and seeing the top of the hour ad break at the HasanAbi broadcast, because Tories never subscribe at the top of the hour when there's a 3-minute ad break. So don't be a Tory.
Debate that's gone on for the last 12, 18 months about just what weapons we would and we would not supply to Ukraine. But frankly, come back to the basic point, if we really want to help Ukraine throw out the Russian aggressors from their territory, we need to give them the best help we possibly can. And if that means giving them long-range missiles in the same way that the UK has provided Storm Shadow and other similar missiles, then frankly, I think Germany is being rather half-hearted about its support. And frankly, Germany doesn't need to be half-hearted about this. It needs to step up, sign up to be a proper Western country supporting Ukraine in the same way that Poland and the Baltic states and other countries that have a common border with Germany, have a common border with Russia, are, to make sure that Ukraine can prevail against Russia, because at the end of the day, the Russian aggression is totally against the international order and actually must be rebuffed in the strongest possible way.
Lord Richard Danner, always good to talk to you. Thank you for coming on this evening.
Thanks, Christian.
All right, that's it.